On my 20th birthday, my mother gave me a Hermes worth 300,000 yuan. After receiving the bag, I took a photo and posted it on WeChat Moments. There was an instant review by Lin Wen. Where did you buy it? The workmanship is quite real. I frowned and didn't reply. Later, when I was browsing Weibo late at night, I saw a dynamic from Lin Wen saying that my boyfriend gave me a Hermes, and I liked it very much. But the picture used my bag. My mother is a woman who values romance above all else. He said that the first Hermes in my life must have been given to me by him, and I didn't inherit this from him. I am pragmatic. Although my family conditions are relatively good, I still like to compare prices and pursue cost-effectiveness when buying things. After receiving the bag, at the urging of my mother, I took a photo and posted it on WeChat Moments. There was an instant review by the inscription, "Where did you buy it?" and the workmanship is quite real. Half a minute later, his message came to me, "Xin, in fact you should communicate with your boyfriend. It's not shameful to be poor. But sending fake goods is not authentic." I want to get angry, but considering that the freshman year has just started, I don't want to make things too awkward. I held back my anger and replied calmly that it was not given by my boyfriend, but by my mother. It is not fake goods. Half an hour later, Lin Wen replied with a "oh" and a smiley face with his mouth covered. It was obvious that he didn't believe me. I didn't want to explain more. I thought the matter was over. I didn't expect that when I was unable to sleep and scrolling through Weibo that night, I accidentally saw Lin Wen's Weibo. At 11:16 tonight, he posted a Weibo. The first one was his selfie, and the second one was a photo of the bag in my circle of friends, with the caption, "My boyfriend gave me this Hermes, I like it so much." I was stunned for a few seconds, and couldn't help but take a screenshot and send it to my boyfriend Lu Zhe. "Look at my thief roommate." It was late at night, but Lu Zhe almost immediately responded back. I said I didn't know how to do it, so Lu Zhe taught me step by step. I went to comment, "Isn't this my mother's birthday gift for me? When did my mother become your boyfriend?" A few minutes after this comment was posted, when I refreshed it, I found that Lin Wen's Weibo post was deleted. We were in the same dormitory, and he sent me a message late at night. Don't get me wrong, my boyfriend also bought me an Hermes which will arrive in a few days. So I took your bag and posted a Weibo first, and I laughed. He had a boyfriend who was a rich second generation, but as far as I know, the other party is not very generous. He had to persuade me to buy a pair of shoes. "Okay, then you received your bag, don't forget to lend it to me." Lin Wen replied with an okay expression, but at lunch the next day my roommate whispered to me, Xin, you said Lin Wen, is he jealous of the Hermes bag your mother gave you?" I was stunned. What happened? Today Lin Wen showed me the jokes in his mobile phone, and a WeChat business message popped up. Lin Wen bought a fake Hermes from him last night, spending more than 800 yuan. Lin Wen's monthly living expenses are about 1,500 yuan. Spending more than 800 yuan on a fake bag. Isn't this a pure injustice? On the weekend, Lin Wen took the express box and opened his Hermes in front of us. I endured it again and again, but I couldn't help it. Lin Wen's Hermes was not packaged in plastic bags. His smile was a little stiff. I don't like fancy packaging. Let my boyfriend ask for a simple package. I smiled and made him happy. I watched the fun and went downstairs for a date. Lu Zhe and I were high school classmates. We had a crush on each other for 3 years and got together after the college entrance examination. He is in a medical school in the same city, about half an hour's drive from me. Lu Zhe stood in the shade of the tree downstairs. Wearing his unchanging white t-shirt, he was slender, delicate and good-looking. I trotted over. I must have waited for a long time. He was holding my favorite grape milk, smiling gently, and asked me what I wanted to eat today. I tilted my head and thought about it. Hot pot is good. Lu Zhe took my hand and smiled gently. After dinner, we walked hand in hand in the square. After walking around, I realized that today was Valentine's Day. No wonder there were a group of girls selling flowers on the street. When we passed a flower shop, Lu Zhe held my hand and tightened it slightly, looking at me sideways. Buy a bunch of flowers? I shook my head. No, it's expensive and not practical, and it's too conspicuous to take it back to the dormitory. Lu Zhe smiled helplessly, and I knew it. Then when he sent me back to school, he took me to pick up the gift that he had deposited in a store in advance. Because I always complained to him that the bed in the dormitory was too hot to sleep on, and the cool mat was not comfortable. Then he gave me a high-end cool mat. I sighed that this was a really thoughtful and practical gift and asked about the price. After listening, I was silent. In order to return the gift to him, I will have to eat dirt again in the next 2 days. After seeing Lu Zhe off, I carried the cool mat upstairs. As soon as I returned to the dormitory, I saw Lin Wen, who was about to go out. She dressed up carefully just to go out on a date. When she saw me, Lin Wen looked me up and down, and deliberately asked why I came back so soon. Today is Valentine's Day. Didn't your boyfriend give you a gift? If he did, I threw my sandals on the bed. Here Lin Wen came over to take a look, then covered his mouth and laughed. Xin, your boyfriend is too straight. who would give his girlfriend a mat on Valentine's Day. After laughing enough, he started to give me chicken soup. Shin, boys can be straight and it's okay, but they can't be so stingy. You have to guide them slowly. When you are in a relationship, you have to let your boyfriend spend money. Look, today is Valentine's Day. My boyfriend not only gave me a bag, but also a Swarovski necklace. I glanced at it and smiled. The most classic small white swan model is only more than 1,000 yuan on a certain dong. I took a sip of the mineral water on the table yesterday. I said casually, I don't think my boyfriend is stingy. This mat is not cheap. Linwen smiled. My boyfriend spent more than 1,000 to buy a necklace, and he also bought me a bag yesterday. How much can your broken mat be worth? It's not expensive. This broken mat sells for 3,600 yuan. Linwen's smile froze at the corner of his mouth. 3,600, he exclaimed. Who are you kidding? It's just a cool mat. There are people selling it at the school gate for dozens of yuan. I didn't say anything and directly showed the logo. Linwen picked up his phone with a look of disbelief and started searching. A few minutes later, his face looked grim, and he muttered unnaturally, spending more than 3,000 to buy a broken cool mat, what a sucker. I was very unhappy to hear this. The first 2 times I was concerned about the school starting soon and didn't want to tear my face right away, but I couldn't let him be sarcastic all the time, and it's just sarcastic who doesn't know how to be sarcastic, I said. Oh, and slowly put down the water cup and said seriously, my boyfriend is not a sucker, he just has money. After thinking about it, I made another move. He was willing to spend more than 3,000 to buy me a cool mat just to make me sleep more comfortably. Where can you find such a boyfriend? Linwen didn't say anything and smiled awkwardly. He smiled and left, and I was in a good mood. Facts have proved that this kind of person cannot be spoiled. If he goes back, he will always be sarcastic. However, Linwen did not come back that night. He sent a message to Guru, the good girl in our dormitory, saying that he had something to do and could not come back tonight, and asked him to help cover for him when checking the dormitory. Guru is a very good girl. She was born in a small county town and her family conditions were not very good. She was very frugal on weekdays and was gentle. Linwen knew this about him and called him for help. The next day, Linwen skipped class and came back in the afternoon. It could be said that her face was full of peach blossoms. Moreover, she had a new bag from a light luxury brand on her body. The price was not cheap, several thousand yuan. Linwen's second-generation boyfriend suddenly became generous to her, and it was after he did not return home all night. This was not glorious in itself, but Linwen loved to show off. He carried his new. The package arrived and was wandering around, but he didn't know that rumors were already flying around. Half a month later, it was Linwen's birthday. He said that his second-generation boyfriend invited all of us to dinner, and emphasized that we should bring our boyfriends. I didn't want to go at first, but he was always beside me, squeezing me in a sarcastic way. I can't stand provocation the most, and I got hard on impulse. At 7 o'clock in the evening, we went to the Magician restaurant near the university town. My friends and I have been to this restaurant before. The food tastes good and the price is not cheap. After we sat down, we also met for the first time Linwen's rich second-generation boyfriend, Qin Xiaotian. Qin Xiaotian looks like a typical rich second-generation. Although I don't know much about luxury goods, I still recognize the dazzling logo. After everyone was together, they started to order. Linwen deliberately handed me the menu and said, Xin, take a look at what you like to eat. I didn't answer it, so you can order first. Linwen hooked. He curled his lips, probably thinking that I was scared. He said nothing and handed the menu back to Qin Xiaotian. But Qin Xiaotian was looking down at his phone. You order first. Linwen was stunned for a moment. When he wanted to hand it over, Qin Xiaotian's frowning brows were already stained with impatience. He was in a dilemma. Linwen could only reluctantly turn over the menu. The menu was all in French without Chinese translation. After scanning it, he pointed at the menu and asked for it. The waiter glanced at him with an embarrassed look on his face. Sorry, this is the name of our store. The atmosphere was a little quiet. In order to ease the atmosphere, Linwen forced a smile and said, It's my birthday today. I'd like to order a bottle of red wine. The waiter was very discerning. After hearing this, he immediately turned the menu to the inner page of the wine. Linwen glanced at it and pointed to one of them. Please give me a bottle of this 1945 red wine. The waiter was silent for a moment and corrected in a low voice. Sorry, ma'am. 1945 is the price. I couldn't help but curled my lips and smiled very subtly. After hearing the price, Lin Wei was a little unsure. She turned her head and looked at Qin Xiaotian. Qin Xiaotian finally raised his head and said, It's okay, just order it. This young man is not vague about money. He may also think that Linwen just embarrassed himself. Qin Xiaotian turned off the screen, took the menu, and ordered dishes for him and Linwen. Linwen was indignant, snatched the menu and stuffed it into my hand again. This was the second time I was stuffed with a menu. If I refuse again, I will really make you laugh. So I ordered casually. I looked through the appetizers and main dishes, both of which I ordered were local specialties. I had eaten them last time and they tasted good. When I handed the menu to Lu Zhe, he didn't even look at it and just closed it. I just wanted to get me one of the ones he had just ordered. A low chuckle came from the other side and I looked up. It was Lin Wen. I was a little speechless. Lu Zhe had a fear of making choices and never liked to order food. He wouldn't think that Lu Zhe couldn't understand the menu, right? At this time, the waiter had already handed the menu to Guru, who was sitting on my right. Guru took the menu with an embarrassed look on her face. As the host of today, Lin Wen did not help him out. Instead, he smiled and waited for Guru to make fun of him. I couldn't stand it, so I spoke up for him. Why don't you do the same as me? I ordered the specialties of their restaurant. I've eaten it before and it tastes good. Guru breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, Lin Wen said at the side and started to speak sarcastically. This restaurant is very expensive. Xin, when have you been here? I ignored him and replied lightly, I was here with a friend. Oh, then your friend is very rich. He brought you here to eat. Your boyfriend, aren't you jealous? He covered his lips and his smile stopped. I was too lazy to pay attention to him, and even too lazy to tell him that the friends I mentioned were 5 girls, and that meal was treated by me. In addition to satisfying his craving for food, Lin Wen still felt a little aggrieved. He failed to pretend and embarrassed himself. Lin Wen didn't eat much at the table, but kept drinking his bottle of 1,945 yuan red wine. Then at night, the alcohol started to take effect. Lin Wen pulled the 3 of us out of bed, folded his arms and said, My boyfriend has no obligation to treat you. Let's go Dutch for this meal. Remember to transfer the money to me. My eyes were tearing up. Guru on the side was so anxious that he almost cried. His family was not well off and he was very frugal in his daily life. If it wasn't for Lin Wen's strong request, he would not have eaten such an expensive meal with him. When he heard that he had to go Dutch, Guru panicked. I don't have that much money. Lin Wen was really drunk. He rolled his eyes immediately. He said, You're going to eat without money? I can't stand it. We won't go, but you're begging us to go. And Guru will also send you there. The gift, how about we split the bill with you, Guru? Forget it, Lin Wen sneered. The gift is just that bottle of stars. How much is it worth, please? He looked at Guru. What era is it? Who would give this person this as a birthday gift? Guru blushed and couldn't speak. I was furious. Then in this case we will give you all the money. How about you return the birthday gift? Lin Wen shrugged. Threw it away. I know he threw it away, because today when he took the gift and threw it into the trash can downstairs, I happened to see it from a distance. I deliberately said it was okay if you throw it away, then just cash it in. We will transfer it to you for food, and you transfer the gift to us in cash. Isn't it fair? Lin Wen agreed without thinking. In his opinion, the gifts we gave were not worth much. Guru had no money, so he used a jar full of stars folded by himself, and I saw him stay up for several nights to fold them all. Another roommate looked like his family conditions were average, so he gave a very cute plush toy. Lin Wen smiled, and immediately picked up his phone to transfer 100 yuan to each of them. The gift money was transferred to you. You should also transfer me the meal money. Don't count the change. This meal is 5,600 in total. 7 people, each of you made 800. Patted his shoulder. Have you forgotten the gift I gave you? Lin Wen sneered. Your sack. 100 is too much. I'll give you 50. Have you ever seen a sack worth more than 10,000? Lin Wen was stunned. I put a little force on his shoulder. Please check it yourself. Balenciaga buns, handbag, 13,000 renminbi. This bag was given to me by my aunt. It's been a few months since I put it in my closet because it was too ugly, but it's brand new. So I just gave it to him as a birthday present. Of course, I didn't know the exact price at first. I've never understood these luxury goods. It looked like a sack, so I thought it would be at most 1,000 yuan. But when I checked it just now, I took my hand back, showed the payment code, and handed it to Lin Men. The meal money for the 2 of them was also mine. The total for the 3 of us was 2,400 yuan, and I won't give you the change. Just transfer me another 10,000 yuan. Lin Wen was stunned. After a few seconds, he started to use his usual tricks to play rogue. You said 10,000, so it's 10,000. Do you have any evidence? I also said that the broken bag was only 30 yuan. I smiled cleverly and he really said it. I turned to the drawer of the wardrobe and dug out the invoice of the bag. Whenever Lin Wen opened this bag as a gift, he would not miss this invoice, let alone the eye-catching price on it. The invoice has been in the interlayer of the bag, and I have never opened it until today when I picked it out of the trash can and opened it casually, only to see it. Speaking of which, this bag is also quite pitiful. The price is not fey, but it has been in my hands for several months. If I hadn't picked it up from the trash can, I wouldn't even have looked at it. Lin Wen held the invoice and seemed to want to tear it up, but I quickly snatched it back. What a joke, but it's evidence. But in fact, I secretly picked up all the gifts for the 3 of us. How could I throw them away just because he said so? But of course I wouldn't tell him. So after being forced and threatened by me, Lin Wen was scared. He snorted without confidence. You bought this bag several months ago. Why do you want me to 13,000? Let's take a step back. The gifts were thrown away by me, and I don't want your meal money anymore. Okay, I agreed anyway. I picked up all 3 gifts. I can't really blackmail him for 10,000 yuan, but maybe I agreed too readily, which made him suspicious, or maybe he was just unhappy. Anyway, after that day, Lin Wen started to slander me everywhere in the class, saying that I gave him a fake bag on his birthday and even blackmailed him for 10,000 yuan. I wanted to laugh when I heard it. He blackmailed him for 10,000 yuan, as if he could afford it. Lin Wen was killed by his second generation. Her boyfriend dumped her 2 days after her birthday. I don't know if it was because he embarrassed himself in public that day or if Qin Xiaotian was really fed up with her. In any case, their breakup was so sudden that after Lin Wen tried to reconcile to no avail, she buried her head in the quilt and burst into tears. However, a few days after they broke up, someone saw Qin Xiaotian taking Xihua to a high-end hotel near the school, with a minimum consumption of several thousand yuan a night. When she was with Lin Wen, Qin Xiaotian took her to a well-known fast hotel. Thinking about the light luxury bag that Lin Wen used to show off, and then thinking about the LV bag that Xihua was carrying after she followed Qin Xiaotian, Lin Wen instantly became the object of everyone's pity. However, half a month after being dumped, she suddenly revived with full blood, and he seemed to have found a new boyfriend. He started staying out all night again, and he no longer asked us to help with the dormitory inspection. The strange thing was that occasionally, when the senior students came to inspect the dormitory, they automatically skipped Lin Wen's bed, as if they had made arrangements in advance. Also, Lin Wen's financial situation has obviously improved recently. Although he can't buy luxury goods, the quality of his food, clothing, and transportation has improved. Moreover, the school's scholarship quota was given to Guru, whose family conditions were poor and he lived frugally in his daily life. It was generally believed that he would get a scholarship. However, this year, Guru's scholarship quota was taken away by someone else. Lin Wen. Although Lin Wen's family was not rich, they had enough food and clothing. Logically, he should not have been eligible for the scholarship. This seems strange, so at Guru's request, I went to the counselor for him. I originally wanted to ask him about it, but I didn't expect the counselor's attitude to be very tough. He first officially said that the list of scholarships was selected by him through investigation and understanding of the students' family conditions, and then the scholarship application forms filled out by these students were submitted uniformly and selected by the school. But when Guru asked to see Lin Wen's scholarship application form, the counselor changed his face again. He threatened with a cold face that the forms were all evaluated by the school. If Guru continued to make trouble, he would have to take Guru to the school leaders. After taking a sip of tea, the counselor surnamed Lin looked at Guru meaningfully. Guru, just study peacefully. Aren't your grades pretty good? If you study hard, you can get a scholarship and be rich and proud, right? Besides, the instructor's tone suddenly dropped. If you keep making trouble, it will eventually be reported to the leader, and you will be punished. I'll see how you're going to explain this to your family. It's not easy for your family to support you to study. I was very angry as I was listening in, and was about to speak when Guru at the side said timidly, I know. The teacher interrupted us, and as he said that he was going to drag me away, I couldn't help but say, you believe this? This is obviously the instructor's excuse. He just wants an explanation. How can he be punished by the leader? Only a poor little person like Guru can do this. I would believe it, but Guru whispered an apology to the counselor, and then dragged me away. Such a dull and thin girl, but her strength was amazing. After leaving the office, Guru let go of my hand and quickly walked towards the dormitory. I followed behind, feeling puzzled. When I returned to the dormitory, I found Guru sitting on the edge of the bed crying, her shoulders heaving from crying. I frowned. I have never been a nosy person, but now I still feel a little disappointed. What's the point of crying now? I scared you with just 2 words in the office just now, and he is the one who made me happy. I didn't finish my words and was suddenly interrupted by Guru. He choked and yelled at me. Do you think everyone is like you with a rich family? Your parents love you and you don't need anything? I didn't care. If you want to make a scene, just make a scene. I was stunned by his yelling. It was totally inexplicable. However, I was not as good as him at the beginning, but I ran out wiping my tears. This back and forth made me feel very angry. It turned out that I couldn't care less about trivial matters. For the next 2 days, the atmosphere in the dormitory was very depressing. The only happy person was Lin Wen. He has always been high profile. A few days after receiving the scholarship, he immediately ran to the mall to buy everything from head to toe, and came back ostentatiously carrying a bunch of shopping bags. The logo on the shopping bags was very eye-catching, which attracted a lot of discussion from classmates, but Lin Wen didn't care at all. I didn't expect that there would be a follow-up to the scholarship. One day at noon, I was sitting on the edge of the bed applying a facial mask, and the dormitory door was suddenly opened. I kicked it open and Lin Wen rushed in angrily. You just don't like me, right? He didn't know right from wrong and started questioning me. I put on a facial mask and looked up at him. Are you sick? He sneered and said. Why are you pretending? After a pause, Linwen changed his tone and said, someone told me that it was you who wrote a letter to report me under your real name. Now I have lost my scholarship and may be punished. Are you fucking satisfied? I nodded truthfully after hearing him ask this. Although this matter has nothing to do with me, it sounds quite satisfactory. Linwen was stunned for a moment and rushed over to hit me. How could I let him? I have been working out for many years. Although I don't have abdominal muscles, my strength is far from that of Linwen. A kid who can take half his life to run 800 meters, the girl couldn't compare. I beat him back easily. Well, our hypocritical roommate relationship was completely broken. Linwen was angry and ashamed. He moved out of the dormitory in a rage. I heard that he found a new boyfriend, a 30-year-old uncle. Of course, I wouldn't be idle to inquire about these things. However, I was more sad about what Linwen said that day. He said that I wrote a letter to report his scholarship in my real name. I don't have so much free time, but Linwen's aggressive look didn't seem fake. It should be someone pretending to be me and wrote a letter of complaint to the school. Who that person is, you don't have to guess, you have the answer. Of course, I only suspect Guru. After Linwen's incident, I asked Guru, and she was brave enough to. He was young, and the panic that flashed across his eyes was so obvious, but he refused to admit it. I couldn't find any evidence and I was too lazy to ask him, so I just let it go. Near noon, I suddenly received a call from my father. Are you hungry? My father asked me a little breathlessly. Let's take you to eat steak on the street of your school. Come out. I quickly went out the back door of your school. However, after meeting him, I finally knew why he was out of breath. My father actually came by bicycle. He likes fitness and is interested in all kinds of sports, especially cycling. I stood beside him and called Dad, and a person appeared in my sight. He seemed a little surprised. His eyes were on my father, wearing sportswear of unknown brand. I glanced over and finally landed on his bicycle. The corners of his lips raised a barely perceptible smile. He retracted his gaze and left in a hurry. However, he did not hear the subsequent conversation between me and my dad. What kind of broken bicycle is this? It doesn't even have a back seat. How about I sit on the crossbar and you carry me over? My dad wanted to kick me away. What? Your dad's bicycle costs more than 300,000 yuan, and you still want to sit on the crossbar? My dad and I competed with each other on this issue. I called him a jerk and he said I knew nothing. In the end, we pushed the bicycles to the restaurant. That day, my jerk dad, pushing a PG bicycle worth 270,000 yuan, treated me to a 58 yuan steak and quietly complained that the meat was so expensive. I knew that Linwen held a grudge against me because of the scholarship, so I was not surprised when he framed me as a thief. A week after Linwen moved out of the dormitory, he suddenly returned to the dormitory at noon to get something, but after he opened the unlocked closet, he suddenly screamed that the perfume and skincare products he had just bought were missing. He didn't even disguise it. He ran straight to me and questioned his conscience. Do you think you stole them? I scratched my ears, a little impatient, but my conscience was relentless and insisted that I open the cabinet door for him to check. My patience was almost exhausted, so I frowned and asked, what brand of perfume and skincare products are? Linwen raised his chin. The perfume was Dior, and the skincare products were brand new and unopened Estee Lauder. I didn't say anything. This is at school. The prices are relatively expensive among the students, but I have no interest in skincare products. However, there is one person who is keen on forcing her cosmetics on my biological mother. Under Linwen's relentless pestering, I got up, opened the cabinet door, and took out several brand new sets of skincare products, Helena La Mer, all of which were bought by my mother and forced on me because she didn't like them. In Linwen's surprised eyes, I turned around and asked him, these should be more expensive than the ones you lost. Do I need to steal yours? Linwen came back to his senses and suppressed the surprise in his eyes. He sneered and said, who can say for sure? Some people may be mentally ill and can't stand others being better than them. Besides, he glanced at the cabinet. Who knows if these are fakes you bought for dozens of dollars? I laughed and said I didn't have the habit of buying fakes. I spent 800 yuan to buy a fake Hermes bag, but it turned out to be a dishonest WeChat merchant who wrapped it in a plastic bag and mailed it to me. Linwen's face instantly turned red. He was so angry that he insisted on rummaging through my suitcase, saying that he refused to check it. The argument soon attracted the social management aunt. The aunt asked the reason and asked him to check it. I agreed. The aunt searched my closet, but to no avail. Linwen pointed to the aunt under my bed. He had another suitcase which was always locked. Who knew if there was anything hidden in it? The dormitory management aunt took out my suitcase and gave it to me to unlock it. However, when the suitcase was opened, there were some clothes scattered inside. The aunt flipped through it casually but found nothing. She dug out a bottle of perfume. The Dior social management aunt was stunned for a moment, looked up at me, and took out a box of skincare products from under her clothes. They were all the brands that Lin Wen mentioned. In an instant, I became a thief caught red-handed. I came to my senses and turned to look at Guru. Only she knew the password of my suitcase. Maybe she was guilty. The moment I looked over, Guru turned her head away and didn't dare to look me in the eye. Why did Guru? It was Lin Wen who stole her scholarship. I couldn't understand why he would join forces with Lin Wen to frame me. But Guru just turned away and refused to speak at first. I knew the whole story but couldn't produce any evidence. The previous dispute attracted many people from the surrounding dormitories. My image as a thief was instantly ruined. The truth was spread. It was obvious that Lin Wen was seeking revenge. Of course it would not end peacefully. He reported the matter to the counselor Lin Jun. In the office, Lin Jun looked at me coldly. I looked at the dirt on the desk and felt guilty. The teacher thought you were a very good child, but I didn't expect that you wanted to be beautiful. The teacher understood, but you can't steal other people's things. There was no investigation or questioning. He directly convicted me of a crime and asked me to write a self-criticism for stealing. I sneered and refused, thinking I was stupid. If I wrote a self-criticism, no one could prove my innocence. Moreover, the school takes theft very seriously and the punishment is light. Lin Jun sat on the chair and looked up at me. His conscience don't blame the teacher for not reminding you. You should admit your mistake now and write a self-criticism before things get out of hand. When things really get to the department, the teacher won't be able to help you even if he wants to. As he said this, he glanced at me and said earnestly that at the very least, you will be given a disciplinary punishment. At the most, he narrowed his eyes and threatened that you might be expelled. The atmosphere was a bit serious, but I was amused by him. Teacher Lin, I'm not Guru. It's not that easy to scare you. If we can investigate, then hurry up and investigate and clear my name. If we can't investigate, either call the principal and we'll check it in public, or I'll call the police now. The teacher sneered at me. Don't blame me on your conscience for not warning you. If you insist on making trouble, going to the principal is not just about writing a self-criticism. I looked at him, so let's call the principal. Lin Jun didn't move. I raised my eyebrows and took out my cell phone. If you don't call, I'll call. As soon as I finished speaking, I took out my cell phone and dialed the call. The call was quickly connected. Principal Yang, please come to Teacher Lin Jun's office. I've been framed as a thief and I need you to investigate. After that, I hung up the phone, sat at the desk, looked at the neighbor opposite and smiled. Guess why the principal and I both have the surname Liang? The neighbor was speechless because the principal is my aunt, mother and father's biological sister. The office was empty with only the three of us. The neighbor's face began to change. He hesitated to speak for several times and finally walked up to me. Her tone was many times softer than before. Xin, you see, it's just a misunderstanding between classmates. The teacher asked you to write a self-criticism before. Also to deal with the matter and ease the relationship between your classmates. If it was just a misunderstanding, my neighbor would not be so nervous. I guess he has other things to do and is afraid that the principal will be implicated. As for what it is, I glanced at Lin Wen, who was also nervous beside me, and suddenly guessed a little. My aunt came quickly, she closed the door, looked at me with concern, and then set her eyes on Lin Jun and Lin Wen. Lin Jun hurriedly got up, but my aunt sat directly on the other side, in front of the empty desk. On weekdays, my aunt would not let me be exposed and in school. His relationship, but today when he heard that I was wronged, he came faster than anyone else. When he sat at the table, he could still hear him panting and talking. What happened? My aunt is a very serious middle-aged woman, but thinking about the woman who could give me that sack bag, this kind of personality is not surprising. The neighbor bit the bullet and told me about my theft of Lin Wen's skincare products in a slightly beautified way. When she heard what I stole specifically, my aunt sneered, somewhat disdainfully, and glanced at me. He asked, "Do you have the password to your suitcase? Who knows my other roommate?" My aunt nodded and took me to see him. So my aunt, who is the principal, met Guru alone. No one knows what he said to Guru. But women who can become university presidents at the age of 40 are all shrewd. In less than a quarter of an hour, Guru confessed everything. He was threatened by Lin Wen. When no one was in the dormitory, he quietly put the things that Lin Wen had given him in advance into my suitcase to frame me. In the office, I was very puzzled why he chose to help Lin Wen, who had stolen his scholarship, to frame me. Guru cried hard and told me that the reason was actually very simple, because Lin Wen threatened him with the scholarship and next year's scholarship. Lin Wen told Guru that he had a special relationship with the counselor, and whether Guru could get the scholarship was all up to him. It was just a matter of his words and he could get a scholarship this year so he could help Guru get one next year. Guru cried and held my hand, Xin, and said, "Please don't make a big deal out of it or I'll be punished. I'm the only hope of my family. What if things get out of hand and I'm expelled from school?" He cried miserably, saying that he was just confused for a moment, but I didn't feel sorry for him at all. He was confused for a moment, but did he ever consider me? If I wasn't the principal's aunt, if I panicked and didn't call the police when the incident happened, if I wrote the self-criticism in a daze under the coercion and inducement of my neighbors, then I would also be punished for stealing or even expelled from school. Who isn't the hope of the family? I also said that I am the hope of the whole village, and I have given him enough chances. It is not easy to be a saint, and I don't want to be one, so I shook off his hand and handed everything over to the school. Unexpectedly, the school gave me a surprise. Once the matter was investigated, it also involved some other things such as Lin Wen and Lin Jun had an overly close relationship. Once the matter was verified, the school immediately dealt with it seriously. Lin Jun was suspended from his post, and Lin Wen was expelled from school because of his lifestyle problems and for instigating others to steal and frame others. Guru was also punished and the farce ended. I was in a good mood, so I bought a handful of melon seeds and sat on the bed, eating them while watching Lin Wen tidying up the things in the closet that he had not taken away before. Lin Wen looked very unhappy. Before he left, he said something cruel to me. "Conscience, let's just wait and see." I smiled and spit out the melon seed shells, not taking it to heart. "Okay, goodbye." Lin Wen left in disgrace until his back disappeared at the end of the corridor. The smile on my face gradually faded. In fact, I felt a little sad. Why bother? After more than 10 years of hard study, I finally got admitted to this university, but because of the initial jealousy and comparison, I changed step by step. Having come to this point today, he must have regretted it when he thinks back on it, but I didn't expect that Lin Wen didn't regret it. After he dropped out of school, he still stabbed me in the back. Less than a month before dropping out, I suddenly became famous. A video of me changing clothes suddenly appeared on various social platforms in our school, and it was everywhere on the forums. Fortunately, I was not naked in the video. I was secretly filmed changing clothes in an empty dormitory, passing by my underwear, and my face was exposed the whole time. I learned this news from my roommate Pan Pan. I gritted my teeth and watched the video to the end, and then watched it again. A glance at the comments section was unbearable. Many boys commented that I directed and acted in the film just to become famous. Some people also commented on my figure saying things like legs are perfect and so on. There were too many outdated words to count. Some girls also said that I was obviously secretly photographed while changing clothes in the dormitory, and that the photographer should be severely punished. However, I was quickly overwhelmed by those teasing comments. I was trembling all over and almost couldn't hold my phone. Lin Wen must be him. Thinking of what he said before he left, I became more and more certain. However, just as I was racking my brains to find a way to delete those videos, I suddenly received a call from Lu Zhe. After hesitating for a long time, I picked up the phone anyway. "Hello," I said, trying to act calm. "Yes, I'll be there soon," he said in a low voice, unusually serious. It seemed that he knew about it. Lu Zhe had seen the video in the comments online. I suddenly felt embarrassed. My nose was sore and tears started to fall. I tried hard not to make any sound, but Lu Zhe still noticed. There was silence for 2 seconds, his voice very hoarse. "Xin, don't cry. I want to kill someone when you cry," he said in a low voice. "Don't worry, leave everything to me." I hung up the phone and went downstairs obediently. Within 10 minutes, Lu Zhe appeared in my sight. He was exhausted and rushed to come here and hold me in your arms. "Don't be afraid, I will handle it." I nodded, my eyes were sore, but I didn't know what to say. In fact, I just felt humiliated and angry, but when he appeared, I felt very wronged. Lu Zhe asked for leave for me and sent me home. On the way, he carefully comforted me and told me that before he came, he had asked his family's company to help me handle it. Lu Zhe's family runs an internet company and has a wide network of contacts. It shouldn't be difficult for him to handle these things. That night, Lu Zhe and I talked on the phone until late at night until I fell asleep. When I woke up, the first thing I did was to pick up the phone. Mobile phone. Lu Zhe did not lie to me. All the videos about me all could not be found. All the related comments were wiped clean. Everything was as if it had never happened. But Lu Zhe said everything cannot be treated as if it had never happened. When he said this, he was in my room. His palm fell on my head, gently rubbed it and said, Xin, call the police to accompany you. I nodded. I called the police. That video and those exposed posts on the internet, I have kept them as evidence. Because Lin Wen was the most suspicious, he was also taken to the police station for interrogation as soon as possible. In just one day, the interrogation had a result. The video was secretly filmed by Lin Wen. After he moved out of the dormitory, I reported him about his scholarship, and he felt resentful, so he secretly bought a pinhole camera and hid it opposite my bed. After successfully recording an indecent video of me changing clothes, he secretly returned to the dormitory and removed the video. However, he was not the one who spread the video. According to Lin Wen's account, he held my video in his hand, hesitated for several times but still did not dare to post it. He knew that this was a criminal act. Once the video was spread, it would affect my reputation, but because it was not completely naked, I would not be greatly affected. On the contrary, he would be found out for illegal secret filming. However, after he was expelled from school, he made money in a nearby internet cafe. I have a boyfriend who is a second-generation rich man. His family is rich, but he is very unfaithful. He wanted to kick him out after being with Linwon for a few days. In order to keep her heart, Linwon sent my video to her boyfriend for his entertainment. The video was sent by his new boyfriend to the brother group, and then spread by the brother group and finally posted on our school forum. It was out of control, and this was not the most bizarre thing. When Linwon was taken for interrogation, he was driving. He had no license and was drunk. The young man who was crazy and cheering in the passenger seat was his new second-generation rich boyfriend. He was originally caught secretly filming a video of changing clothes. To put it mildly, he was even just detention will suffice, but he followed his boyfriend and drove without a license after drinking. This is indeed enough to make him drink a pot of water. When he heard that Linwon's parents came from other places, they were furious, and ran to the school crying and begging me to give up the pursuit. Pushing away Linwon's mother's hand, "Your daughter's most serious crime is now drunk driving, not secretly filming the video." Lin's mother burst into tears. "We don't understand these, and it's our fault for not educating our daughter well. But if you choose not to pursue it, Ling should be given a lighter sentence. She is only 20 years old, and her future has just begun." I couldn't bear to hear these, so I turned and left. Her future has just begun, and so does everyone else. If I give up the pursuit, I will be sorry for the insults I have endured, and even more sorry for what Lu Zhe said tremblingly that day. "If you want to kill someone, don't be a saint." Before leaving, I stuffed a tissue into his hand. This should be my greatest kindness. Our school recently has a net celebrity, a very handsome boy, who has become popular on a certain audio platform. All the platforms in the school are full of news about him. In fact, it doesn't matter whether he is handsome or not. What matters is that he has become popular and successfully washed away the popularity of my changing clothes video. My heart, which has always been hanging in the air, has finally settled down gradually, especially after listening to Pan's words. Pan usually doesn't talk much, but she hits the nail on the head. She said, "Don't worry, honey. Think about the underwear you are wearing in the video. Who hasn't worn a bikini when swimming? That group of people are making a fuss." I suddenly realized, yes, what's the difference between wearing underwear and wearing a swimsuit? I completely let go of this knot in my heart and continued my shameless relationship with Lu Zhe. Once I went home on vacation. Before going to bed at night, I called Lu Zhe as usual, and somehow we talked about Linwon. I suddenly felt a little emotional. In fact, although our school is not a key university, it is also a good undergraduate college, and Linwon herself is quite beautiful. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to date one rich second-generation boyfriend after another. I shook my head. Such a pretty girl, but it's a pity that she has no brains. Lu Zhe was amused by me. His voice rang through the network cable, gentle and firm in my ears. "There's nothing to pity. We are all adults. We can reach this point step by step because of jealousy and vanity. It's not a bad thing to prove ourselves. Adults must be responsible for every step they take." It's rare to see him so serious. I couldn't help teasing him. What about me? What if I take the wrong path? Lu Zhe's chuckle came from my ears. "It's okay. I will always be responsible for you." I was just about to complain that he was indulgent. "It is doting." Lu Zhe's second half of the sentence came through the receiver. "But I will protect you and won't let you go the wrong way." I smiled and began to look forward to tomorrow's date. I suddenly remembered that Lu Zhe was also very pitiful. When other people dated, their girlfriends would dress up beautifully. But we have dated so many times, I have never even worn a little skirt, so I tentatively asked him, "How about I wear a skirt to watch a movie tomorrow?" "No." Lu Zhe's voice was gentle. "I like to wear whatever you want to wear, but other boyfriends like to see their girlfriends wearing little skirts." The voice was interrupted by him. He chuckled, "But I don't like little skirts, I only like you."